Let's talk about apprenticeship and this. You mentioned that you're treated as an individual when you first get in, which is a remarkable deviation from when we look at India simplistically, we call it a collective society, right? We don't see each other as individuals. We often see each other as members of a certain subgroup, right? You talked about instructions, right? So if an older male comes to me and wants to impart some wisdom, and I call them my mentor, this happens in other professional settings where, say, if you are in private equity, certainly some people will come to you and ask you for guidance. Where do I invest? How do I get ahead in my career? What does this form of instruction look like for the RSS?
Yeah, it's a great question. These are the subtle questions that nobody asks. So I'm really glad you're asking it. And look, what I'm about to tell you, maybe somebody from within the RSS will disagree, all right?
Sure.
I'm just telling you from what I discovered when I was investigating this entire, the early history of the movement. Mm-hmm. Okay, so there's a caveat. What I think is happening, and the way it happens, is that it's informal. So what happens is, it seems to me that the shaka or these nodes of social capital, what brings people together is that everybody is seeking a deep sense of belonging, right? We are actually living in a quite an alienated world.
Sure.
Right? I don't need to explain that.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
We're living in an alienated world. As our alienation has grown, these nodes are designed in such a way that allows you to automatically transgress your tribal identities. So my caste, my class, and my creed. In that node, once I enter the shaka, I'm an individual. I'm just Sachin, right? Nobody will ask you in that node, where are you from? Who's your father? What car do you drive? Nobody will ask you. In fact, that's like almost like I found, it's unconscious maybe, but it's like a taboo. You just don't ask those questions, right?
Right.
What you do is you say, let's play, right? Let's learn martial arts. Let's discuss some point about this or that or whatever, but usually it's just, in India it'd be Kho and Kabaddi, and in UK it's football and cricket,
Right.
Right? It's just according to that sentence. So that's the first thing. That I find that what opens the individual up is that you get treated like an individual. You get treated like an individual.
Yeah.
And then what happens is usually, these are my observations, what happens is that you've got people as young as 4 or 5 years old going to these shakas, right the way through to 70, 80-year-olds, hobbling with their walking sticks into the shakas, right? So it's a place for all. The activities then may be separated, but it's a place for all.
If you liked the episode, please leave your key takeaways in the comments. It helps us decide future episodes. And of course, make sure you follow Dostcast on Spotify. Dostcast to the moon.
What I notice happens is that the 10-year-old is being mentored by the 18-year-old. The 18-year-old is being mentored by the 30-year-old. The 30-year-old is being mentored by the 50-year-old. Do you see my point?
Yeah.
So, and initially I thought, isn't that nice? Isn't that cute? Then I started to go to lots and lots of these sorts of programs, and I started to realize, my God, this is happening systemically. This is systemic. This is not some nice guy in a random shaka being nice to some kid or some nice to some old man. No, this is systemic. There is a certain value system that is ingrained in the Swayamsevaks, right? In the members of the RSS or the Sangh. And so what happens is that, I want to bring it back to Hedgewar. This is Hedgewar's genius. He knew that the 10-year-old wants to be like the 18-year-old. He doesn't want to be like his dad. He wants to be like the 18-year-old.
Right.
The 18-year-old has got to a stage where he's asking some tough questions about life, career, whatever, and he wants to know from a 30-year-old. Right? He doesn't want to know from his dad. He wants to know from that 30-year-old. The 30-year-old's got to a stage where he's married, got children, young children. He needs guidance and advice and all the challenges that life brings by a 50-year-old who's been through it. So suddenly, you're not mentored in this narrow sort of, hey, let's all play kabaddi together. You're kind of now mentored in life, right? How to raise children, how to manage your relationships, how to find support networks if you fall ill, or if you lose your job, or, it's an entire ecosystem which will be like a social safety net if that's what you need. It can also be an incredible leverage, right? Because now, if I'm an individual and, for argument's sake, I'm an engineer, and my job has taken me from Delhi to Kanyakumari, and I just made that up, can use this nodes of social capital, and I will find people over there in Kanyakumari who've never met me, don't know who I am, nothing. But the moment I find that node, a shaka, I'll be able to tap into that social capital, and suddenly I found my social network.
Yeah.
Instantly.
It's like generally when we look at social networks in India, it stems from where are you from, right? So regional networks. Malayalis will band together, Haryanvis will also band together. It's based across caste, right? Sometimes it's based across maybe you have a big family. But other than that, it's pretty impersonal. So what you're saying, if I'm getting it right, is that this allows people to never feel lonely and never feel unsupported, especially in these times.
You got it. Absolutely.
Right? If you love this episode, make sure you leave a note at the end so we know what more to make of. And of course, follow Dostcast on Spotify, Dostcast to the moon.